So if you have any questions, it's a good time to ask now. Yes, David.
How do you have any comments on sleep?
On sleep?
Yeah. How to keep from, I know you can't meditate when you're sleeping.
The prescription is sleep less, talk less, eat less, and do more meditation. That's the prescription. But it so happens that you only sleep less when you have made some progress in meditation. And you also only make progress in meditation when you sleep less. This in American language is called catch-22. That means one is dependent on the other. So you have to start both together. The great master's recommendation is that you should meditate during sleep, which means before going to sleep, you should have half an hour of meditation. And especially the repetition of words should go on till you sleep. And mostly it has been found that if you sleep with the repetition, if you wake up in the middle of the night, you are still repeating, which means you can do meditation while sleeping. So this was the recommendation. Ultimately, the repetition of words is merely to create a habit in the mind to do something. And the habit of the mind always follows habits. The habit of the mind to repeat the same mantra again and again actually leads to less thinking of other things. So that's one of the aids to meditation. So that is why to take advantage of meditation and sleep, do meditation half an hour before sleeping.
And how about the great master? How much sleep did he take?
He found out that as you progress in meditation, you need less and less sleep. So he felt that a couple of hours is good enough. And he was quite completely refreshed with that. And it works like that.
Thanks.
Welcome. Any other question? Yes, Jeffrey.
Earlier you mentioned about the dissolution, the grand dissolution, and you mentioned it was below par Brahm. Would you speak about that and explain that whole business of the dissolution and the grand dissolution?
Those who have studied black holes in physics know the theory that black holes are powerful points of attraction for everything that is around them, and they pull those things towards them. They add to their mass without adding to their volume. And they can pull everything. At a certain point, they become so strong in their attraction, they can even pull light inside, as we know it. And light is pulled inside. There is a theory going on now that they can also pull gravity inside. And all forces can be absorbed in a black hole. The black hole can be as small as zero. It has no volume at all. And yet its mass is as heavy as the whole universe. Which means if you could weigh it, its weight will be several times that of the Earth and all the planets around. But if you see the size, it has no size, it's so small. The dissolution is virtually like that. When the dissolution takes place, this expanded universe falls back into nothingness. And nothingness holds it. And nothingness holds all that is in it except the life force or the consciousness, which steps one step up and stays there. That means all the souls were at that time having different forms. They step out of those forms and go back one step higher. When the dissolution takes place, which takes place almost every time the age of the mind, individual mind ends, which is 3 to 4 million years, could be a little longer. After that time, there's a dissolution and these things are pulled up, life ceases to be there, and then with the heaviness of that nothingness, it begins again and starts a new journey. This is called paralaya, which means dissolution. Then there is Mahaparalaya, the grand dissolution. The grand dissolution destroys all mental regions also. It destroys the physical region completely, destroys the astral region completely, destroys the causal region completely, destroys the lower part of Parbrahm completely. So what is left is an upper part of Parbrahm and Sachkhand, which are permanent and have never been dissolved. When the recreation of this system starts again. It's all the same story repeated once again. And then the souls are taken up, and that Kal is then again busy trying to get it. And it's a repeat of the same story again. Now I must tell you that this process has been going on forever. There have been so many dissolutions and so many grand dissolutions that this is almost an unending process. And therefore, most of the time, when we think that we have found something new happening now, it has already happened before. All our lives that we have lived here and can possibly live are already taped and recorded and kept in a reservoir in the causal plane called the akashik records or the akaschik records. The akashic records are nothing more than the records of all possible life forms and all possible human lives from that can possible in a physical body from birth to death, and they are in the form of just as a comparison with physical things, just like a videotape or a DVD. So those DVDs are all stacked up there. Billions of DVDs, because this is such a long period in which to have so many human lives, so many other kinds of lives. When we re-enter this area again, the soul gets a choice. It's a free will choice, real free will, to pick up one of those DVDs. We have all made that choice before coming here. When we make a choice only about the point of entry, which means we can choose which first human life we will have. Now, a human life cannot be set up without prior karma. You cannot have a life here unless there's a cause to create the events of this life. And therefore, the cause has to be created along with the life that you're picking up. So every time when we pick up a life from the causal plane, from the akashic records, we pull it out, and that has connected to it past lives. Infinite past lives. Because every past life requires another past life. And because every life creates a future effect, it has infinite future lives. You enter one life, and you have all the past lives. Indeed, you have never been through the past lives. It's only when you enter into one life here, you automatically have past lives. It looks like you had past lives, it's your karma, you did this in the past, therefore this is happening. The truth is you just picked up that. It was pre-programmed like that. So it's remarkable. Otherwise, there's no way to enter in this system, which is based entirely on karma, which is based entirely on cause and effect, and have the effects here without a cause. So the cause comes along with the effect. We choose one life, and then while we are having one life, it has all its cause in the previous lives which are added on to it. And we are already ready for the future lives. If nothing happens, then we are trapped there forever. Then we really begin to have cycling after that, according to the predetermined future lives. I just got a magazine from Paul in Socorro, which I studied, and there's an article on time travel in that. It raises the question of the paradoxes of time travel. And this question of paradox of time travel has been raised many times before, because they don't know what actually happens in time travel. And I'll tell you what actually happens. They say the paradox is that if a person can go back in time, say goes back in time 100 years, and his grandfather is there, whose son was his father, who's gone back, he kills his grandfather. How could he be there? That's the paradox. The paradox is, if you can go to the past and create a change in the past, it can lead to a change where you become non-existent. How can that be? You are the one who's gone to see this. This is one of the paradoxes. And they think it's a real paradox which has not been able to explain. Further, the second point that article makes is, which is very interesting, that if you can go to the future and then come back, you know the future, you have no free will. It links the question of free will with time travel. So if you can time travel, there will be no free will, which is very interesting. Now, this is just guesswork, what would happen. Now, I'll tell you what actually happens. that when you go back in time, you change nothing. You are a spectator. You see your old self. You are not that old self. You are a visitor from the present. You go, you can have a separate body, which can be visible to your old self. But you change nothing. Therefore, there is no paradox, actually. Things move exactly as. So far as free will is concerned, indeed there is no free will, because all things are predetermined. Free will is an experience. Free will is merely a feeling. I have free will. That's it. But that's good enough to create karma. Karma itself is illusion. Free will is illusion. But they work together. Supposing the illusion of free will is removed and we come to the reality, karma will disappear at the same time. Supposing karma's reality is exposed, free will disappear. They work together. So there is no real paradox. I'll give you an example. I, along with a couple, a young man and his wife, we were traveling in Europe. And we were in France, in Paris. And we were sitting on the river Seine, because there's a boat that goes called Bateau Mouche. That is a tourist boat there. You know about it. The tourist boat, we were ready to board it. And there were some buses, tourist buses coming. And one lady stepped out of a bus. We were sitting on a table waiting we had some tea or snacks. There was a little cafeteria kind of thing there on this bank of the river near Eiffel Tower. And we were having tea, and a lady dressed in the most extraordinary clothes, which I've never seen before, wearing strange kind of a dress, came out and stood near us looking at us like this. And she was staring at us. And then she stared at that girl who was sitting on the table with us. And she stared in such a way, she looked so strange, that we happened to whisper to us, looks like a time traveler. She went, after staring at us for a long time, she went back to the bus and sat in the window and did like this and disappeared completely out of sight while we were watching. This actually happened. Then we wondered, if this was a time traveler, she obviously came from somewhere in the past. From her dress, from her shape, from her figure, we tried to guess how old that state must be, how many years earlier she must have lived. And why did she come there? Why did she stare and go back? Little research revealed to us, she was the very girl who was sitting next to us, coming to see how she looks like now. How she looks like now. Therefore, this experience showed to us what actually happens in time travel is that you manifest yourself at another time period, but don't change anything. And that is why just a guest, you are a visitor to that place. So when I read that article, I said, they make a guesswork that when you go back, you become that person, so you change. That's not what happens. But if you see a movie like Back to the Future, then you think you can change and everything changes in the future. There was a conference of futurologists. There's a society called Futurology Society. And I attended one of their meetings in Copenhagen or somewhere. And they came up with a theory that we all have several futures. And depending upon what we do now, we pick up one of the futures. Very good, because they could say, if you do this, you can have that future. Do this, you can have this future. So they began to draw a chart. If this is your past, you can't change it. One line past. You are here. You are in the present doing things with free will. Depending on what you do now, you go here. Or you go here. Or you go here. Many futures. That there could be many futures, and depending on what you do, you pick up the right future. I got a chance to speak in that conference. I said, that's wonderful. What you are showing is the options available. You're not showing that you actually travel all those. Nobody ever travels more than one future. So I said, if you could go further down without any event, say 100 years later, you will find you only chose one future. Doesn't matter what you did. That your action in the present will be tied up with that one future. Therefore, it looks like we have many options, which is the nature of free will. Free will occurs when we feel we have more than one choice. If we didn't feel we have more than one choice, we would have no free will, nothing to exercise. When we feel we have this option, this option, this option, we can do one of these things. That looks like free will. We don't know that the option has already been exercised and exists in the future. Some of you know the story of my meeting a Sikh gentleman, I mean, not Sikh, Sikh, that means with a beard and a turban, in India. And this was shortly after 1947, and when this happened, and those people were roaming around, and we were refugees. We had run away from Pakistan, which then became Pakistan. So we met these kind of people, and I met one person who said, "Good luck." He was carrying a bag of hay on his head, and looked like an illiterate person who wouldn't know any English at all. And he said, "Good luck. I was a refugee looking around for some shelter for myself. We just come from the Dera to find some place in New Delhi." And I chastised him. I said, "You are an Indian Punjabi, I am Indian. Why do you speak English language? Say good luck. Why can't you speak your own language?" He said, "I said good luck because you have good luck." I said, "Tell me how." He said, "Give me some money." I said, "I know, that's the trick, to make some money." He said, "I didn't tell you how much. Give anything you like." I had a 1 paisa coin, which is less than 1/10 of a cent, of a penny here. And I had that in my pocket somehow. I gave him, I said, "Is that good enough?" He said, "Good enough. Put it on my tali." Tali means palm of my hand. So I put that 1 paisa, I closed the hand like this. He said, "In 29 days from today, you'll get the good news for which I said good luck to you. In 29 days after that, you'll get bad luck because you'll hear bad news. You'll hear bad news. Good luck will come by telegram. Bad luck will come by a man coming and talking to you. And 29 days after that, I'll meet you and ask you, have these two things happened? Give me the balance fee on that day. Good luck." I said, "What is your name?" "Good luck." "Where do you live?" "Good Earth." Then he went away. I didn't take him very seriously. I was searching around for some shelter, and there was my uncle's house. I went there. I told him this is what happened. I met a man like this. He said, "Oh, these people just make these kind of jokes with you, but don't take it seriously." I said, "Okay." 29 days later, I was trying to develop some business to make some money after this, moving from one country to another. I got a telegram from Dindigul Tea Company. "We have given you the whole distributorship of North India." It was a big deal. Money came just falling into my lap. I said, "In truth, this is 29 days. The man was right." I said, "Now, what about the bad one?" Then I met a doctor. I used to practice homeopathy in those days, and I met an allopathic doctor, and we decided to go and set up a multi-clinic. So we have a clinic, half of it was homeopathy, half was allopathic. So we worked together in some areas. So we set up a clinic about 40 miles outside of Delhi. And then I was visiting Delhi, and a man came from the Dera. "Great Master is dead." It's 2nd of April. Exact 29 days when I got the agency for the tea. It was a big shock. Great Master physically is dead. Of course, I knew he was in radiant form with us, but there was such a beauty of the human being that we could go meet and have his discourses and tease him, and he teased us, and all that kind of playful stuff that he did. So I said, "We'll miss him." I felt sad, but I also marveled at the capacity of that man to predict the death of a person who had the death in his own control. The astrologers had told Great Master that you will die when you want to. How can this man know this, when the Great Master has been told by so many other astrologers that he can choose his own date of going? That was very amazing. Then I went back to the clinic, and after some time I came to New Delhi to buy some equipment for our clinic. So I was standing near a big medical store buying equipment. I came out, and a man hit me on the back like this. Turned around, same man. He said, "There's a third 29th day. Give me the fee." Amazing experience. I said, how do you do this stuff? I'm willing to give you. Here's $5. He said, no, that's not enough fee. Didn't you see what I did? I said, I'm a refugee, I'm a displaced person. I don't have much money. He said, you're 75 in that pocket. I said, you are such a guy. Am I so transparent for you? Anyway, I gave him a little more money. And I said, please, I'll give you money, but tell me how you do it. He said, we are a special class of yogis. We are called Bhatras. And we Bhatras learn how to predict a few things. And they come to us automatically when we see a person. But then after that, we are not astrologers. We can't predict anything else except what comes to us at that time. I said, it's an amazing kind of a gift you have. You proved your point. Anyway, I went for a military interview, Navy interview. So I was going to join the Navy, then my brother got into the Navy, and I said I won't join. And I was coming out of a naval interview. Then I met another Bhatra like that in Lucknow, another town. He came and I said, this guy looks like the same one. He's not the same one, but he looks the same one, same kind of loose turban and so on. He said, do you have a piece of paper? I said, yes, sure. I took out a piece of paper. I had just come from an interview. I had my bag with me. I said, here's a piece of paper. He said, pen? Sure, here's a pen. He looked at me like this on my eyes and began to scribble something on it. And he kept on scribbling on this piece of paper. Then he folded the paper. Then he said, hold the paper in your hand. So I put the paper in my hand. He said, now write any number between 1 and 10 on another piece of paper. I said, I know what he has done. He just put the number 5 and want to say I was right. Because most people, when they are told to write a number between 1 and 10, the first number that comes up is 5. And I said, my lucky number is also 5. And he can easily guess that. I can't write 5. I want to prove him wrong. So I wrote 3. Then he said, write the name of a flower. I knew these tricks people try even in social meetings, and they can guess we would write a rose. A rose is the commonest for flower there. And I said, he's expecting me to write rose. Let me think of a flower that he may never have heard of. There's a rare flower called chameli. Chameli, chameli. So I wrote chameli. He said, write your date of birth. I wrote my year of birth, 1926. Oh, you only written the year. Write the full date. So I put down after that, November 26. He said, now open the paper I gave you. I opened the paper, which he had written much earlier. He said, 3 Chameli, 1926, November 26. Exactly that order. I was stunned. I was stunned not because he could guess. He could guess before I had thought. He guessed what I will be thinking later. Proved to me absolutely there is no free will. I thought I was using free will to make those decisions. The man knew beforehand how I will exercise my free will. And then he laughed at me and he said, shall I tell you more? I said, tell me. I was already in a state of disbelief almost. How can this happen? He said, you said everybody between 1 and 10 writes 5. I write 3. Everybody think they'll write the word rose and I'll write chameli. When he said that, I said, please tell me, how do you do this? He explained to me he was a Bhatra like the old one, the first one. And he says a very dwindling group of people, and we have learned this kind of yoga, that we know everything is predetermined and we can read a little bit of the future. But not much. Some people can read some events. Some people can read what will happen in your mind in the next 5 minutes. I could read that. The main thing that occurred to me at that time is, how can there be any real free will if another man can know it before I even think of it? But I thought I acted freely. He also knew how I will act freely. This is exactly the position. That the future has been written up including that we will think of the choices, say, what shall I do? Do this or that, and then we'll do that. Even the choice making in our head is recorded in the future. Therefore, it looks like complete free will. It looks like making complete choices, but the whole thing is written up. Therefore, there's nothing wrong in that article in the Discover magazine that he showed me, which says if future time travel is possible and you can come back, there's no free will, because you can see what's going to happen, which is actually true. So the mystics tell us that the future, the past, and the present don't occur one after the other, they all occur simultaneously. That the past and the present and the future have all been laid out at one time. Not that one will follow other. They are one time, and we are already time traveling on that and going one event after another event, thinking that things are happening as we go along. They happened before. They all happened at once. In a single moment, the whole thing was set up. And now we are moving on it. And therefore, there's no real free will, but the experience of free will, the feeling we have free will, the process of choosing between options. That's the beauty, which makes us feel completely that we are making our own destiny, we are making our own decisions. There's no way to get out of it, because we actually see the choices. I have an option. I can eat my dinner or not eat my dinner. Who can stop me? When I say I can have my dinner or not have my dinner, who can stop me? My choice. When I look up the future, it says, you will think, I can have my dinner or not have my dinner, who can stop me? That's recorded. The very thing that makes me feel I have free will is part of the future, pre-recorded. Therefore, the thing is totally predetermined. But to make us seekers in this show, to make us seekers and give a reward. Sometimes, a person comes to me, a child comes to me, and I have to make him win. Otherwise, I can't give him the reward. I've got the reward in my pocket. I say, give an answer. And he says, what is 2 plus 2? 5. Oh yeah, I know you added one more. Here's the reward. I mean, we want to make him win. The nature, the creator, wants us to have the experience of free will. Therefore, with no free will available, with everything being predetermined, how can he give us the experience of free will? By opening up real choices in front of us. They are real choices. And we make a real choice without knowing real choice was made way ahead of us. In exactly the same way like we make it. But then what happens? By having the experience of free will, we get rewarded. Okay, you are very good. You made the right choice. You are a seeker. Now you'll get initiated. Now you go home. The plan is all set up beforehand. All this is set up beforehand. So we make stories to tell that there were 10% of souls that were marked because they said, if we don't like this new world, how will we come back? And the Lord, Creator said, I will come back and take you. But when did he decide that? Everything was decided in one moment, just like this, the whole show. And all that happened, including all the dissolutions, grand dissolutions and recreations. If you go to the Akashic records, which you can, if you go up to, take your awareness up to the causal region, and you will see that the Akashic records, all the life forms are stacked there. And they are stacked in the sky there. That's why it's called akaschik. Akash means sky. The records are placed in the sky, so they are not ordinary DVDs that you need a stand for them. These are possible human lives from birth to death, stacked in the sky like that. So you look up, let me examine that one. And you pull out. You haven't selected it. You're still examining. You're still auditing all the stuff that is available. So you pull out. Oh no, this has got too much bad stuff. Put it back. You take another one. That's great. I'll win a lottery. What happens in the next life? Then I pay for the lottery. Then what happens next time? Then I get trapped. Oh no, I don't want this lottery. Most of the inquisitive people, the inquisitive souls were those who were inquisitive enough to know what will happen if we go there in the adventure land. And they turned around to the Creator and said, what happens They're still inquisitive. They still want to see. Is there any section in the library of the Akashic records where there is an escape route which was promised to us? They say, oh, this life is great. Next life, I can meet a perfect living master. And third life, I escape back home. I pull it out. But it says, you'll have some suffering in the first life. Doesn't matter. What about the end? I love what has a good end. Some people tell me, if we picked up our own destinies, if we are the makers of our own destiny, why did we pick up poverty, disease, illness, so much problem here? We picked it up because we were not looking at these temporary things that will go away. We looked at the final result, where we can escape from the whole system, from the trap, from the prison. We thought it was worthwhile. Now, as it happens, it's all a combination of good and bad. But this we thought was so good to be able to get out. We didn't mind a little inconvenience here and there. So we picked up those things. Now when we don't know the future, we have been obstructed through the grace, a particular grace called ignorance. And that's why they say ignorance is bliss. The ignorance of the future makes us having this bliss, because we can make a choice, a seeking. A choice that's predetermined by the DVD we picked up. The choice was written up there when we made the choice. The only time we made the choice was then, not now. There are very few occasions when consciousness makes a choice. Now I'm revealing a secret about consciousness. Consciousness per se is experiencing things that it projected and created. And it created everything at once. Where was the choice element put in? The choice element was put in when the first blast of creation took place. That was real choice. Consciousness made a real choice of what kind of worlds to create, what kind of levels to create, what kind of show to create. And it all happened at once, and time was introduced into it afterwards. The real choice of the ultimate creator. Second choice, when the individuated souls came and they said, you can go into a new adventure land called the astral and physical plane, now make a choice. So we looked at the Akashic records, which had been preordained before us. The one who made the choice earlier, he knew which record we will pick up. There was no real choice even then. But we got the experience of examining each one. No, not this, not this, not this. That's a good one. He had made a design that when we pick up, we will say, not this, not this, not this, that one. We thought we made a choice. Second experience of making a choice. Third experience of making a choice. When we are born as human beings, with discrimination and with the ability to use free will, then we see this option there, this option there. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? And they say, I'll do this. This suits me. I like it. The very Akashic record had said that we will do this. And the fact that we would pick up that Akashic records by choice was known to the Creator even that time. This is a very wonderful thing, how it is set up. That we can have, finally, we again experience a choice when we die. Only one choice we get when we die, because our karma, our actions have already led to a series of results in front. We've done some bad things. We have been destined to have 15 days in hell. But we did a lot of good deeds, helped so many people, gave charity and all that. So we have 6 weeks in heaven. Particular heaven earmarked. Your seat number so-and-so in that heaven. Hell, bench number so-and-so. Okay? One doesn't cancel the other. So when we die, the whole of this life flashes in front of us. Whenever a person dies, this in very rapid motion, we see the whole of life. Oh, this is the implications. That's what's going to happen. That's what we are picking up from there. And another being outside of us begins to design our next life. He designs the next human life. And we call him the angel of death, or we call him Dharmaraj, or we call him the Lord of Death. He sits right when we die, unless we are initiated. If we are initiated, then it's a different matter. If we are not initiated by a perfect living master, it's that Dharmaraj who decides, based on our life which he has shown to us in a very rapid flash. He says, this is your life. Till you become a human being again and get a chance to do things or have experience of free will, 15 days in hell, 45 days in heaven, 3 months as a flea, 2 months as a dog. He said, I'm skipping a lot of life forms. Don't worry, it's not too bad. Okay, then you become a monkey and then you're human being again. In so many years you'll be there. Okay, is it okay with you? I said, do I have a choice? Can I reject all this? Of course not. The only choice you have is hell first or heaven first. That's the only choice we get. And it's amazing how divided the vote is on this thing. One would assume that they all want heaven or something. No, half want hell first. Supposing you people sitting here, you got a choice that you have to spend 15 days in heaven and 15 days in hell after you die because of your karma. Would you like to select hell first or heaven first? Those who in favor of hell first, raise your hands. Those in favor of heaven first, raise your hands. See, it's a divided vote. Why is it divided? Because the mind, again in making a choice, is evaluating this choice. And those who want to do with hell first, they say, get it out of the way. So at least we can enjoy heaven. If we take heaven first, we can't enjoy heaven. We are always afraid hell is following it. Good reason for those who chose hell first. Heaven first says, if I take heaven first, who knows, I may be able to change and never go to hell. Why not take a chance? So this is such a split thing that Dharamraj, who controls and gives a choice, himself is baffled by the divided vote that he gets at that time. There are no other real choices we ever get. In all other life forms, we just go through it through instincts, through pre-programmed actions, through pre-programmed thinking. Now there is an article in the same magazine about birds being able to think better than human beings, because without a compass, they can fly 5,000 miles and reach the right point. Every year they do it. And they've examined some ravens, some kind of ravens, who can train others, who take care of others. And we see some innate wisdom in some of these birds. If you see the birds flying in a formation, in a V formation. Have you seen the V formation? The birds flying in a V formation, that there's a lead bird and the other birds following, the two lines, and one line is longer than the other. Have you ever noticed that? At least 3 birds longer.
What's the secret?
The secret is the strongest bird is in front. When he flaps the wings and pushes forward, the draft created, the vacuum created, is taken advantage of by the following birds. So they all take advantage. And so they share the thrust that is created with their wings, and they participate, is not wasted. It's great wisdom. It's wisdom with the aviators are starting learning how to streamline. What about the 3 extra? Now these bird watchers have examined that if one of the birds falls, these 3 are the rescue team. They will leave that group, go down and try to bring it up, or see this finished, then they leave it and come back and join. What kind of wisdom is this? Are the birds more wise? Are they wiser than human beings? That they can do this? Or look at the bees. Have you seen a beehive? A beehive is made by these bees, and every hive, every hole in which they lay an egg has 8 sides. Do you know how precise that is? To the 10th decimal point of a millimeter. Exact. Every side. They have no measuring tools. How can they be so precise? We have a difficulty to make things like that with our scientific equipment. How are the bees making it? Look at the hive very carefully. The beehive. And there's a queen bee sitting in the center, a little bigger than all the drones around. And she's a little bigger and a little fatter. You will never see a drone with his back to the queen bee. They're always with the face forward. When they withdraw from the hive, they withdraw backwards till they're out and then fly. They never show disrespect to the queen. Were they told manners? Were they told royal manners? How to deal with the queen? And they always do this.
Explain this.
How do you explain this? Very easy. It's totally pre-programmed for them. There's no free will at all. If that free will, they'll make a lot of mistakes, like we do. With our free will, we make mistakes. They never make mistakes because it's pre-programmed. This is called a well-programmed instinct. Where does it occur? It occurs physically in the DNA molecule. In the DNA molecule in their brains, pre-programmed, they work exactly according to it. Our DNA molecule says, oh, we have choices, we'll have to make choices. Sometimes we'll make mistakes, then we say, oh, I'm sorry. And then we hold the guilt, and we'll come back again to pay for the guilt. So human beings alone have that experience of free will. No animal, no bird, no insect requires free will, because they all go according to the pre-programmed computer program put into their DNA, and they're working out. Even angels, gods, rulers of higher planets, including the ruler of the astral plane, the ruler of the causal plane, have no free will. How can you imagine that? Human being has free will, or the at least experience of free will, and the ultimate creator has real free will. Both are free will. Now this seems to put human beings very high. We are like the creator, we are made in the same image. So far so good. I'll give you a secret now. A secret knowledge. The secret knowledge is that when the human being exercises free will, he's never separate from the creator. Therefore, he's never separate. It's an illusion of separation. Therefore, it's also the illusion of free will, but the free will is real because the creator's free will is happening at the same time. So therefore, when we say it's an illusion of free will, we can also say at a higher level, there is no illusion, it's a real free will. The free will of the creator is being translated at that time through the individual. So this side is secret. Most people don't know that although we teach people this is only illusion, it's not really illusion, because so long as we accept that we are separated from the creator, free will is illusion. When we find out we were never separated from the creator, free will becomes real. It's the creator's free will that's working, not any separation. There's no separation. So look at it from both points of view. And this spiritual knowledge is not revealed very often. You don't see too much of this discussion in the books or scriptures even. Yet perfect living masters have been able to explain these things. So that is why they have answers to all these delicate questions. The only thing is that if an answer is given to one question at a certain level, that the creator alone has free will, that's speaking from the creator's level. If you speak from this level, creator has free will and we have the illusion of free will. That's correct. Both answers are correct depending upon where we are asking the question from. So, this is the beauty of this creation and the beauty of knowledge, the beauty of awareness, the beauty of meditation. That through meditation you can go through all these stages and discover the truth. What happens if you find out the entire truth? That means from here, as human beings, right up to the awareness of a creator. If you explain the whole thing, you'll have no question left to ask at all. There is no question. It's just one setup. It's fully explained. The system itself explains itself. So that is why sitting here with blocking ourselves from reality, saying, no, this is real, we want to make this real, we have all questions. Then we can ask all the questions. When we find out what the real is, there is no question. But you can still ask questions if you want.
They say in something like 1 year they will find a substitute to the earth, the scientific, I read something about it. Is it possible?
I also read this.
On the internet.
But I read these things before also. I read many things that they write like this.
They say now they are not far from
No,
setting.
it's 2012.
So,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read 2012.
Is it possible? What are they talking exactly about?
They want to scare people. They want to show that we know something. And then it will pass, then they'll fix some other time. Then it'll be 2018 then. Mm-hmm. I've read, Nostradamus said, this world will come to an end in 1984. I remember that. Big news.
Not 83?
84. 84 came and went. No, 93 is going to be very bad. He said that. Okay, 93 passed. There used to be a lady in the East Coast named Varna Powell. Some of you knew her, Varna Powell. She used to get all this information from some friends of hers who who had come from other planets. Did you know that? She introduced me to her friends. This one is from Jupiter, this one came from Mars. So I met those ladies there, and they kept on telling her the catastrophes. Now something very bad is going to happen next Sunday or Saturday. And she would get so worried and call me. Please do something. I said, don't worry. It's taken care of. Then I would get a call. Thank you, thank you. Nothing is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Scientific from Harvard, and I don't know, you know it.
Of course, it is true that one day there will be a collapse of all this. There is a good description that there will be this planetary system, this cosmic system as it exists, will dissolve. I'm myself saying there will be Pralaya. But the Pralaya is so far away from from this particular generation. We won't be here in these bodies. We may be there in some other bodies to see it, but not in these bodies. We won't be here. So that is why, so far as we are concerned, don't worry.
Ishwar, well, how do you explain there are so many...
I can issue an insurance policy. And insurance, it won't happen. Give me high premium, though. I can issue a lot of insurance policies. No, nothing is happening. So they ask these... it's not merely that we have a theoretical knowledge. Theoretical knowledge is one thing. To say the creation is set up level by level. Creation is set up in this particular way. It's very theoretical. People can design it. Mind loves to design stages, numbers. If somebody says this is going to be big chaos, it means nothing. It will be chaos in 5 steps. This will happen, this will happen, this. Oh, that must be right. Why divide into 5 steps? So every time you do a classification, the mind loves it. It must be true. It's classified in certain classes. So that is why people make this big story. They made a chart. Here's a physical plane. I see the chart sometimes. Physical plane, astral plane, one above the other. Nothing is one above the other. In truth, the chart shows like that. We'll rise one after the other like this. The whole thing is at one place. It's just the opening of awareness, one after another, a layer. And therefore, the chart is slightly misleading. Oh, I even question this. Which is a higher plane, the astral plane or the physical plane? In the chart, the astral plane is higher. In terms of weightlessness, no gravity, people who have too much weight, they love that place. They say, we don't have to take any pills, don't have to exercise. We lost our weight. They like that plane. But some people don't. If you're there, no chance of going to Sachkhand. Did you know that? If you're here, you have a chance. How can you call that better? Here you have this wonderful, unusual, rare experience of the experience of free will, making choices. There's no experience there at all. Neither in the astral plane, nor in the causal plane, nor anywhere else, except in Sachkhand. How can you call them as better or higher? But the chart says it's higher. The mind loves to see it. This is lower, this is higher, this is a step higher, this is number 1, 5. The use of numbers, to use numbers and say classes one after the other, is so useful. I tell you today, when I was at college, I stood for the position of president of the Students' Union. We had to make a debate. We had to present a debate. About 10 candidates, they all spoke to win. And they said, oh, we did very well in our examinations. We have done very well in sports and athletics. They made speeches like that. I prepared my speech. I prepared speech, 10 points. And I printed a small leaflet, 10 points. And I happened to be the last speaker. I said, what are these people talking about, their height and their things? What are they going to do for you? I have 10 things to do for you. Throw the paper around. I put some few key people to throw the paper around. I was elected by overwhelming vote. More than majority vote I got. Why? 10 points. Had I given a general narrative, nobody would have bothered. The human mind loves this stuff. To put it in an order and how many classes it has. And to put it in numbers. And say 1, 2, 3, 4 must be right. So that is why even the theoretical description is appealing to the mind, but it's not absolutely accurate. The accurate thing you can only discover through actual experience of going through the experience of opening up more awareness, more awareness. The journey from here to Sachkhand is not a journey that travel anywhere. It's a journey of knowing more, journey of opening up your consciousness to more and more. And it opens up and you will shut off an external, more unreal awareness and open up something more real than that compared to that. Then one more real. Ultimately you find out you are always there. No soul that has reached Sachkhand has ever said, "Oh, I'm glad to be back home." It says when it reaches home, "I knew I was always here. I had never left. I only left my awareness of this place, and I've regained my awareness." The spiritual journey is to regain your awareness of where you really always have been, because that place is indivisible. That place cannot be divided, cannot be taken away, cannot be modified. That place is fixed. Only illusions can be created that you are somewhere else other than that, while you're sitting right there. This question was asked of me in 1963 or 62 when I came here first in this country, spoke in a church. And somebody asked this, if it was so good there in our home, why did we leave the place anyway to come into this rotten place? And my answer coming straight away was, we never left. We just covered ourselves with new experiences. We never left anything. We're still there. If we had left, we would be dead. All our strength is coming from being in Sachkhand. Our consciousness has never been split, but we have covered ourselves with a series of illusions, which we call levels of consciousness. We have covered ourselves with a series of illusions, which we call the bodies, physical, astral, causal. These are all series of illusions covering us in the right place where we are. When we remove these coverings, we find we were always there, that we never went anywhere. Somebody asked me to write a chapter in his book. He was writing a book on the spiritual journey. So he asked me to write a journey about the difficulty that you face based upon an English novel, The Pilgrim's Progress. I don't know if you have read that by John Bunyan. Pilgrim's Progress, he writes, I passed through the vales of depression, then I passed through the mountains of this. So he gives a whole description. It is all taken from the vales and mountains of New England. England actually, proper England. So he has an image of all the countryside and he puts that in allegorical form. And he makes an allegory that that's how he's going on his spiritual journey. So they wanted me to write on the spiritual journey, one chapter in his book. So I said it will have to be a very small chapter. No, it's a long journey. I said, not very long. This is how long do you think? It's very small. I said, it's all right here. You discover everything. You just remove the covers and you find you are there. How can I write about a journey? They said, all right, forget about the journey. Write about the spiritual path. Can you write a couple of chapters on that? I said, that's too much. I can write a small one. How big? About a few pages? I said, no, that's too long. I said, can you write something on what a spiritual path means? It has to be very short. You mean you write just a paragraph? Oh, no, that's too long. A sentence? That's too much. How is it? How much is it? One word. Love.
Oh,
And that ends it. Where's the other spiritual path? The rest is all exposition. The rest is to add more words which appeal to the mind. Mind says, that's very good. See how well you've written up all this. So these are a lot of things that have been done for the mind, because we have to somehow tackle this obstacle that has been placed in our awareness, the obstacle of our own mind. And once we are able to overcome that, we find things are very simple. The path to the spiritual goals of Sachkhand is not what we think it is, not that difficult. The other thing is, by a strange thing, when we look at a destination from one side, it looks very different than from the other side. We look up and say, where is that? And from the other side, we look nothing, because it's very small, very little. We have some telescopic defect in our vision that it looks very. We are holding the binoculars the wrong way. Have you ever had the binoculars? In one way you hold, things come near. You hold the other way, they all goes away, far away. It is a binocular effect. It's the reverse binocular effect that we think is very far away where we have to go. And when we go there, this wasn't far at all. So the vision of the spiritual journey from the two ends is very different. Anyway, thank you very much for your questions and my long answers. Tomorrow is a free day, you enjoy yourself. Go wherever you like, and there is a lot of nice places, and Paul and Peggy will give you many options. At least think there are many options. When you've traveled, you'll find you could only go to one place. Just be determined. But good, it looks like you have a choice. At least he'll give you the options. You'll pick up the option and go and say, was there really another place I could go? Let me see the Akashic records. That was the only place you could have gone. Thank you very much. God bless you. Good night.